The Department of Defense and the defense industry base are using a common cybersecurity and cyber resiliency standard. This is part of a program that's been in development for years now and will continue to develop through 2027. So this comes really in the wake of multiple information breaches across the defense industry over many years now. So we've set new strict standards on both DoD information services and the independent contractors that are in the supply chain for the DoD. This is a very good decision. This came out of the Defense Industry Base Cybersecurity Strategy 2024. This is an annual event that happens where everybody gets together to talk about cybersecurity, how to improve it, and what vulnerabilities do they still have in their systems. This is from last year. All branches of the DoD are getting together and getting involved to implement these new standards that begin now and will continue to improve, like I said, over the next 3 years. So this is the Joint Service Academy Cybersecurity Summit where they discuss these standards together. So why is this important? Why am I even bringing this up? Why am I making this video? So our industry base here in the United States is vulnerable. And we are falling behind China in industrial base capability as well. So this is a double failure of the United States. Not only are we well behind China in terms of production, especially in shipbuilding, but really generally in industrial production as a whole. The People's Republic of China is also focusing on undermining our nation's operational effectiveness to obtain more information about their base. In other words, they're beefing up their cyber internet security just as we're doing ours. So this is a fight between two near-peer nations that are just trying to raise the firewalls around each other's defense industries at the same time. So we do have competition out there. So as China's manufacturing is trending to double the United States manufacturing, they also have a near monopoly on rare earth metals. This is a big advantage that China has. Not only do they have a huge industry base, they have access to these rare metals that are used in high-end electronics components, weapon systems, sensors, you name it. And so they have that advantage over us as well. This is not looking good for us. So China has also heavily invested in the United States supply chains, including agricultural and software, giving them an advantage in being able to disrupt things like our food chain and see what's going on around the country with communications from the software access and hardware, to be frank with you, around the country. So it's not just a manufacturing and food problem. The communication systems in the United States are also vulnerable to intrusion. And so, like the United States, you need to take steps to protect your personal information online with Delete Me. Thank you to Delete Me for sponsoring this video. Delete Me is a hands-free subscription service that will remove your personal information that's being sold online. Delete Me's privacy experts remove your personal information from hundreds of data brokers all year long. What's a data broker? Let me tell you. A data broker is a person that scrapes the internet, all the websites, millions of websites at a time, automatically using bots and software that they either buy or modify themselves to collect personal information from as many people as they can get. They then bundle all that information into something called a package that has lots of people's personal information into it and sell these packages to other online sites who will sell your information to the public. So Delete Me will remove your personal data like phone numbers and addresses from those online sites that are buying those packages. Monitor those sites and also repeat removal of your data from those sites. This is what happened to me. I've been using the service for a year now, and right away we found that my data was being sold on multiple sites. Well, Delete Me went in and formally requested legally that they take my information down, and they were legally obligated to do it, and they did. But what happened about 3 months later? Well, they uploaded the information again. A few of them did. Well, they resubmitted that information, the request to bring down my data a second time without me having to do anything. Delete Me took care of everything. It was super easy. Whenever you sign up for it, you'll get your own personal privacy report like this one here within 7 days. This is my personal report. We saw that 62 data brokers are selling my information, those little scumbags, so we went after them. Yeah, and Delete Me did all of it for me. It's great. So get 20% off Delete Me U.S. consumer plans when you go to joindeleteme.com/subbrief and use the promo code subbrief20. That's a very important step. Make sure you use subbrief20. Again, the code at checkout. So that's joindeleteme.com/subbrief and code subbrief20. So on top of all the information industrial vulnerability we have here in the United States, we are also seeing hands-on at the worker level problems now in our shipbuilding sites. This report comes out of Newport News Shipbuilding in Virginia, where the shipyard self-reported a problem that they found. So credit to them for finding this. They reported it to the Department of Justice, who's going to be doing an investigation. But what happened was there were faulty welds found on non-critical components of nuclear submarines and aircraft carriers being built at that shipyard. The investigation has so far uncovered that the welders did not follow their procedures. They did not use the techniques that they were taught. They did not use the right materials for making the weld. So the weld is faulty. It's incorrect. And this is the thing that stood out to me. The welders made these errors intentionally. This was not a mistake. This was not a lack of training. The welders knew better and made a decision to not weld the welds properly. So that is a huge personnel problem in terms of personal responsibility and supervision of these workers. Now, all of our shipyards have been on hiring sprees trying to get more people into the shipbuilding so that we can increase our shipbuilding capacity. So a lot of these workers are new and inexperienced, commonly called apprentices, but we can't just blame the new workers for this because the report doesn't say who exactly did this. It also doesn't say what is a non-critical component, because on a nuclear-powered submarine, pretty much everything is critical. There's not too much non-critical stuff there. But when a report to Congress is eventually generated, and this may be a long time from now, next year maybe, we'll hopefully get some details as to what welds were not done properly. But I'm extremely concerned about the personnel that are building our ships here in the United States and the shop supervisors that are supposed to be watching them. Why are they not doing that as much? So hopefully some things are going to change because of this revelation. Causing an investigation will result in improved work ethic and supervision of our shipbuilding. So I will say credit to Newport News Shipbuilding for finding this problem and reporting it. Good job. But it should have never happened in the first place. So let's fix it and ensure that this doesn't happen again. Also, go back and find how long this has been going on. Are there ships at sea right now with faulty welds? That's a possibility, and that's going to take time to figure out and find. So not very good news coming out of the United States in general as far as cybersecurity being vulnerable, and our ships are not being built to standard intentionally. But let's move out to a larger view of the world here with this great graphic that's given to us every week. Not given to us personally, but published weekly by the United States Naval Institute. They do a great job over there. This shows where our fleet deployments are, carrier strike groups generally, but they've also added some Coast Guard, and I see the WASP ARG is over there in the Mediterranean. But I really want to focus your attention on some modifications I made to this graphic, adding the Chinese carrier strike group. Liaoning is at sea. That is their oldest of their 3 operational carriers. It is essentially a training platform for naval aviators to get practice operating at sea, taking off and landing from an aircraft carrier. So that is what they've been doing since September 20th. Those exercises generally last about 14 days. And if that's the case this time, she'll be wrapping up here really soon. We know that she's done approximately 250 aircraft sorties over the past 2 weeks, 160 helicopter sorties. And the reason why we know that is because the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force has had a destroyer shadowing the Chinese carrier strike group the entire time. So good job to our allies in Japan, having fleets at sea in the vicinity, kind of filling in the times when we're not there. Because as you can see from the graphic, we have the Theodore Roosevelt carrier strike group steaming west in the West Pacific, getting into position near, well, wherever they end up. I'm sure we'll be supporting our allies in the Philippines because they've been having some trouble with the Chinese Coast Guard in the South China Sea. Also, we reported about 2 weeks ago now that the Chinese Coast Guard was also violating Japan's territorial waters around their island chains, increasing tensions now with Japan. China's just continuously provoking everyone around them. If we take a moment to move into the Atlantic, you can see the Harry S. Truman there is steaming, and we have a number of carriers operating off the coast of the United States right now. Many of those operations would be training and workup for the next evolution or deployment. The Abraham Lincoln continues to operate, near Iran, watching those events over there. We recently had a large ballistic missile attack on Israel. And I'm waiting to see what the response is for that. That response may be happening right now. It just hasn't been made public yet. But we'll see how that escalates things in that region. So, but don't get it twisted, because the Theodore Roosevelt that you can see here, Carrier Strike Group, is conducting these operations. This is recent video from them as they steam west in the Pacific towards Taiwan. And the U.S. Navy is still the dominant Navy in the world. That has not changed. And the Theodore Roosevelt will soon be in position to take action in the Western Pacific Theater. So we will see what the Chinese Carrier Strike Group does as our boys get out there. I expect that they'll return to port, not only because we're coming into the area, but because they should be wrapping up operations right about the time that you see this video. All right. And remember to get 20% off Delete Me U.S. consumer plans when you join deleteme.com/subbrief and use the promo code subbrief20. That's joindeleteme.com/subbrief, code subbrief20. Thanks for watching, everybody.